Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, October 17th. The Jets play the Carolina Panthers this Sunday. We are back with Cheat's driver's seat for whatever reason. I don't know, man. This is a sickness. I'm intrigued again. It's coming up on another game. This team is 0-6. And I can't help but be like, maybe they got a shot. I don't know why. It's an illness, but I just missed my exit. Whatever. It's something that I was thinking about the other day. I figured I'd bring it up here. For like the longest time, oh wow, that exit just killed me. That was like 5 minutes of traffic added. But for the longest time, I compared the Jets to being a Jets fan to being in an abusive relationship, especially during like the Gase era. Like they just keep hurting me, but I just keep coming back because I love them and I remember, and I just want things to be good again, and I keep coming back, and it's a little pathetic, I get it, but I'm starting to think that that's off base. It's similar to that, but it's not quite that. I've kind of, at least this year has made me feel it's more of like a relationship with like a really close friend or a family member, like maybe a sibling or a cousin that you grew up really close with, that's just like a piece of shit. Like a drug addict who can't get out of their own way. Maybe they get clean for a month here and they inspire a little hope. It's kind of like that. I'm sorry if that's triggering to anybody or if anyone finds that distasteful. But that's almost kind of what it feels like. It's like growing up, this team was not this bad. Growing up, things were pretty good, all things considered. Like, yeah, they were a little messed up. They had some heartbreakers. But they were in the playoffs every other year. It wasn't like, it wasn't a 15-year drought. Like, through the 2000s, for me at least, like, they were good. They were a competitive team. Not just 2009, 2010, where everybody remembers Sanchez and Rex, but like the Herm Edwards years, Mangini year, like they were there. They were fine. Usually they kind of yo-yo between a playoff appearance being pretty bad, playoff appearance pretty bad, playoff, and then it just stopped after 2010, and it feels almost like someone like you grew up with and like you have like this really close bond, you love them like a family member, and then when you got to like high school, they started hanging out with the wrong crowd. Santonio Holmes, things just started things started seeming off right around like 2011. Like, okay, like I don't really like what you're doing right now, like this doesn't feel right, but I trust you, and I think it's going to be okay. And then 2015, the year with Fitz, was almost like, all right, we just went away to college. You're away from this environment. You got a couple new friends. You seem to be doing good your first like year, freshman year. Good for you. Like, let's get this back going. And then sophomore year, 2016, you fell right back in. Maybe you dropped out and started hanging out with that same bad group of guys. Or maybe you found a new, even worse group of guys in college, real, like, drug addicts and all that shit. And now you're just, like, you can't get out of it. And it's just kind of like watching someone you love just continue to harm themselves. And every coaching change is, like, an attempt to get their life straightened out. And they're just a mess. And, like, they can't get it figured out. That probably is very distasteful to say, especially for people who do deal with that, with like an actual human being in their lives that they love and are tearing them apart watching them. So I do apologize for that, as if anybody actually watches these videos. But it's the best analogy I can make to try to get people to understand what it's like to root for this team. I'm getting wellness checks every Sunday afternoon and Monday morning from people in my life saying, "Are you okay? Like, did they hurt you? Like, are you gonna be okay for work? Like, what are you doing?" It's getting to a really ridiculous point. Yeah, I just needed to put that into words somehow, so I'm glad I did. But as far as this game goes, as far as the Jets' rest of this season goes, what's stopping them from being 3-6 in a couple weeks? Not really much. When you think about it, Carolina's pretty up and down. They've been pretty bad on the road. I mean, Rico Dowdle the last 2 weeks has looked like Walter Payton, but I think the Jets' run defense is going to be fine. That's not really my concern with them. They, to their credit, they played very, very well last Sunday in London versus the Broncos. I really can't take that away from them. They played an excellent game, and I think having Jermaine Johnson helped that a lot, and you see how valuable he is, and that's why these rumors that teams are interested in trading for him, like, I don't know if I would pull that trigger just because you see how bad this defense is without him and how much different it looked with him there. And if you're going to make that move and get what? A third rounder? Is it worth it at that point? Instead of just having him for the next couple of years, or maybe extending him a 1 or 2 year extra deal? Because he is a little older. I don't know if he's not going to get that big, long extension, I don't think. I mean, he came out as a 24-year-old rookie, I think. Sorry, I think already 28. I don't know if it's worth creating another hole that you're going to have to fill. Are you going to get a player of that caliber in the third round? I don't think you are. So, and I think he is a guy that you can realistically extend. Like, trading Brees is different because, first of all, you're not going to pay him. So it's not like you're really giving much up if you give him up for 8 games. And he's not been that real difference maker in the backfield anyway. Or even Quincy, for that matter. Like, you could probably trade Quincy. He's 30 years old. You're not going to pay him. You already paid Jamien Sherwood, which that contract is... I mean, let's hope Jamien can figure out a way to turn it around, because it's not looking like a good investment right now. But you're not going to pay 2 linebackers, especially Quincy turning 30. You're going to let him walk, so again, you're not really losing anything. I don't know, man. Well, that kind of took me off into a different tangent, but what I want to talk about the next 3 games, they get Carolina. It's been up and down. I think you can beat Carolina, because when you look at, I mean, this team is 0-6, so I mean, really, you can't really give them anything. They're like, oh yeah, they can beat anybody. They were, they got beat by the Steelers, who seemed to be a pretty solid, decent team, on a 60-yard field goal at the end of the game. All right. You were beating the Bucs, who look like they have the MVP in Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield. And the Bucs look like awesome this year. You're beating them with a minute left in the game with your backup quarterback. And then you should have beat the Broncos. I mean, everything points to you should beat that team. The horrible mismanagement. The fact remains that they didn't win these games. But it's not like they're being blown out week in, week out. Miami, you should have won too. Like, there's a realistic world where if this team just knows how to close games, they might have 4 wins, which is insane to say because it's the most frustrating season I've watched in a really long time, where they just hand everything over. I don't think they're that bad, though. They're not that untalented. They're not deep, which is a problem. And they don't know how to win games. They don't know how to close games out. But when the starters play and they hold up, pretty decent. Like, it's not that problem, and, I mean, Justin Fields, it seems like this is just who Justin Fields is. I mean, Denver was the worst example of Justin Fields. But he's going to be a guy who, some weeks, he's going to look pretty solid, like, especially if he feels confident, the windows are really open, and he has a lot of time. He can win you a game or two. Like, he's not the worst quarterback in the league. But, man, if that defense is, like, on point for the day, he's toast. He just does not read that field fast enough. It's just, this is who he is. He's not going to have this Sam Darnold breakout or Baker breakout or even a Geno breakout. I just don't think it's who he is. I mean, it's not to be mean to Justin Fields. He seems like a very, very good person and a nice guy, but it's just not his strength. And especially if you're not going to run an offense that really takes advantage of his running ability, which I don't know why they're not, because it's a real weapon to be able to run the ball like he does. I understand the durability concerns of it, but if you're not going to do that, it's very hard to win games with him as a quarterback, as a pure passing quarterback. He has the arm for it. It's just, honestly, he can throw balls accurately. It's really not a throwing issue with him. It's a mental processing. And this was the problem with him coming out of Ohio State, too, where everybody was wide open. And anytime people weren't wide open, this is what he looked like. Aside from those things, this team really could have been 4-2. I mean, the Bills game was the obvious loss. Dallas, that game was just a disaster. I remember I was ready to be like, this is 0-17, this is the worst team in the league after Dallas, and my brain has already kind of changed. But they're frustrating, man. They're a really, really frustrating team to watch right now. But they're not horrible, and I still think there is that glimmer of hope that maybe something clicks. And you got, like I said, I keep getting thrown off track, but Carolina, Cincinnati, when I was thinking about making this video last night, Cincinnati had been a pushover, and now they just beat Pittsburgh. But, Thursday night cheese, it's a little weird. Divisional game, it's a little weird. So those results sometimes are a little skewed. But Joe Flacco actually brings a little bit of confidence to that team. But the defense is still really bad, and I think the Jets' offense can keep up with it. Hopefully. I don't even know why I say that. Why would I think that? But they might. And then you got Cleveland, whose defense is really, really good, and that game might end 6-3. But it's not like inconceivable that they win these next 3 games or 2 out of the next 3 games. They need to win at least one of them. We'll see, man. I think they got a shot. I'm probably actually not even going to see this game. I'm going to try and catch it on radio. I'm going to South Carolina tonight to watch Gamecocks versus Sooners. That's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow. Maybe get a little pre-scouting report on John Mateer and Lennar Sellers. But I'll be there, and then I'll be driving through the Carolinas and Tennessee on Sunday. So hopefully I can actually catch it on local Carolina radio. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I'll probably won't see you guys again till, honestly, it might not be until like next Thursday morning. I probably won't be able to get a recap out because, like I said, I'll be out and about. But until next time, let's go Jets. I think the win's coming this week, guys. I think Aaron Glenn finally gets it. My kiss of death, which means they'll get blown out 40-3. But see you guys later.